All right, so Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League approaches its do-or-die moment with Joker's release. Now, we said this before his article. I said, I think Season 1 is a do-or-die, but at the same time, I don't think the game is dying. Like, the game is not going to close down. They're like, well, that's it. Joker came out. Nobody's playing the game. Like, they already paid for it. It's going to slowly come out. The seasons are here. Inside the game itself, it has 13 Brainiacs to fight. So, it's going to be out. Marvel's Avengers lasted 2 years. This will last 2 years. Okay? Now, if anyone's playing it in those 2 years, that's for them to decide, right? So, he says, this Thursday, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League will test its live service ambition with its first hefty free content update, which will give players the Joker as a new squad member along with a new host of weapons, some new missions, and new boss fight. Now, I think they're doing, based on what we saw in the trailer, I think to get Joker, you have to do a fight to unlock him. Or fight him to unlock him, okay? Now, I said this months ago. I said, I hope that to get him, they just don't give him to us. They let us do story content to unlock him, okay? Which, obviously, there'll be reports and articles written going, oh, you can't even get the new guy. You have to actually play the game. That's going to be an article written. And we'll read it here, okay? This is the effect, probably, of the do-or-die moment for Suicide Squad. Yes, they have a year's worth of content mapped out, but this is the closest live release to launch, which should theoretically be the biggest by default. Plus, it's the giving a player... Well, let me kind of back up a little bit, okay? Yes, this is the biggest one because this is the first one, right? Look at what's happening to Diablo, right? Diablo came out, got brutally beaten, even though they made all your billions of dollars, okay? And then Season 1 came out, and they're like, this is the do-or-die for Diablo. Then it wasn't. And then Season 2 came out, and they're like, this is the do-or-die for Season 2 for Diablo. And then it wasn't. And then Season 3 came out, and they're like, this is it. If this doesn't work, it's do-or-die, and it's done. And then they're like, Season 4, oh, they listened, and it's saved, right? So, obviously, there's a big player differential there, right? There's a lot more people playing Diablo 4 than there is playing Suicide Squad. But to say that, well, this is the biggest by default, plus it's giving the players recognizable characters of the Joker as opposed to a gender flip version of Mr. Freeze the following season. See, now that's another thing they have to like throw in there, right? Right? Well, the gender flip version, they're already kind of preempting like, well, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. Even if they do give us Mr. Freeze or Mrs. Freeze or whoever, the daughter of Mr. Freeze, okay? There's a difference between swapping, and again, we don't know, okay? There's a difference between swapping Mr. Freeze for Mrs. Freeze, and there's a difference between Mr. Freeze and his daughter, who also is a Freeze, right? It's also his daughter, who's a girl, who has the same powers as him, right? So there's a difference there, okay? That's not swapping races or gender swapping. That's his kin, who then takes... Anyway, so... The daughter in season after that, the 4th season, is supposed to be released in the higher profile Deathstroke, but I'm not convinced the game is even going to last until then. See, now, he says the game's not going to last. Now, this is strange to me coming from Paul, who played Anthem. He played Anthem to, like, the last part of Anthem, right? Like, we did a podcast together years ago, and both of us played Anthem, and we played together, okay? And we played the endgame content like 2.5 years, 3 years into the actual game. So for him to say that this game won't even last a year is very surprising to me, because he's played a lot of games like those types of games that have lasted multiple years, okay? Now, I'm going to be watching the game's performance where available. We only have the access to the top 10 games in given time of PlayStation, where Suicide Squad was #1 at launch for a brief time, but it never got above the top 20 on the Xbox and quickly dropped of the top 50. Which is all we can see online. Now, Steam also has been utter disaster of Suicide Squad with the launch of half as big as Marvel's Avengers. The concurrent player counts have been peaking at under 1,000 for about a month now. It's also current the 1,011th best-selling game on the platform, and a current 65 viewers on Twitch, down from 155,000 when it was sponsored streamers to play at launch. Okay? It says, there also needs to be a stratospheric improvement in these numbers, which also seems impossible. And I'll agree with that. That's never going to happen. You're never going to see those numbers go back up. It's very highly unlikely you'll ever see it go back up to the numbers it was at launch, right? Because now they've seen what it is. Not until like 3-4 updates down the road, like Season 4, you might see an uptick, because if Season 1, Season 2, Season 3 get better and better over time, you might see a Taken King type of moment, but very highly unlikely, okay? So while the results surge at all, these are still games with very positive user scores on the platform, and there's also some solid features like engaging combat and some fun builds. But the game is lacking overall, the part because it butchered its main storyline and started a process of building a live content where the game tells us that we have to fight 13 Brainiac variants in total, in which sounds exhausting. My biggest problem is the 13 Brainiacs, okay, is that if it's just the Flash, Green Lantern, Superman. Now, here's where they could go massively wrong. Now, obviously, we know we're getting Green Lantern, we know we're getting Superman, and we know we're going to get Batman again. Okay, we know that these are just variants of what we fought in the main game. Here's where they could change the factor of that. If new bosses come in and there's variants of those bosses down the road, but if we get a iteration or reiteration of after Superman, after Green Lantern, after Batman come into the game for the second time, if we get a remix again of like it's now Flash and Green Lantern combined, or Batman and Green Lantern combined, that's going to be horrific. Now, we're already getting the rehash, same arena, same type of stuff, same boss fights. That's the worst part about Suicide Squads for me with these Brainiac fights. Okay. As for the Reese specifically, it's the alternate universe version of the Joker, not the dead Arkham variant, with the new look or non-Mark Hamill voice work. Okay, which he doesn't need to put that. He doesn't even put that in there, but he does, because he wants to make sure that this is not the Joker that you like, which also could lessen his appeal a bit. The fact that it remains outside of traversal mechanics, mostly passive skill trees, and ultimately move, all Suicide Squad members share a close same combat move, set of melee, grenade, and same pool of guns. Okay, there's also the monetization question. Suicide Squad is doing what the now dead Avengers did by giving heroes for free, while selling only the battle pass and cosmetic at launch, players friendly to be sure, but that's not what it seems poised to make a significant amount of revenue. Now, here's the thing. Are they just giving us the character, or are we earning the character by playing story? Now, a lot of people might not like the story, but as long as they continue telling a story from the main storyline into this storyline for Season 1A and then Season 1B, if they keep telling a story and it keeps progressing, I think that could be the comic book moment, which could bring people back, at least come back every season, at least twice, if not, a couple times throughout the year. Okay. So it says player friendly to be sure, but it also does not seem poised to make a significant amount of revenue. A low player base will also see a small portion return to its peak to play a live content like this, and even smaller fraction will allow to pay for something like cosmetic battle pass if they can use Joker for free. So good luck. Avengers did this and failed miserably. Though the game has also at least lasted around 2 years for live content. Every single active player on Steam could buy the $10 battle pass, and you're earning $8,000 from the entire platform for the entire season. Normal numbers are more like 10% actually purchase things like battle passes, which also would be a whopping $800. It says, I'll remain skeptical of the Suicide Squad will even last the year, and that's through the first 4 seasons of live content. I think the game truly is performing that badly, and if we receive a very poor post-launch support, since it releases including utter lack of helpful balance patches and some players being locked entirely out of the game for close to 2 months. So, this is it. The Joker doesn't land. I think the game's 2% chance to turn things around. Now, I don't think he's wrong about, a lot of people are going to see this and go, nah, I'm good. And they're looking for anything, right? People are looking for anything. The people that come to your channel, or my channel, and talk shit like this game's dead, those people actually want this game to succeed, but they're just trying to cope with, they spent the money on the game, and that it's not coming back. And they just want to make sure that but they really want the game to come out, but they're looking for anything. If Joker comes out and he is bisexual, if he is gay, they're going to use that as the antithesis of being, that's it. I'm done with the game. I'm not playing the game, right? Where if Mrs. Freeze comes in the game and it's not his daughter and that's it. They're done with there because they changed Mr. Freeze. Everyone's looking for some reason to hate the game and instead of just playing the game, okay? The game itself is not a bad game. Not. Okay? The story of the game is not a bad story. It's also not a great story. It's just a good story. Okay, so no matter what happens, you're not going to get a turnaround. You're not going to get a No Man's Sky moment with this game. This game made a game, sold a game, and it just was a bad choice on their part because of the way they went about doing it. One of the worst things I think that this game and the company did, Rocksteady did, was went completely silent for almost 2 weeks, okay, when the game came out, right? Helldivers, 6 hours in, actually it was almost a week. They went completely silent, right? And now it's been 2 months since this game has been out, and they still haven't fixed all the bugs and all the bugs and glitches, which is now reminding me a lot about Marvel's Avengers, and Marvel's Avengers was chasing its tail, okay? Now, the difference between Marvel's Avengers with Crystal Dynamics and Rocksteady with this game is, if this game is now fixed, the patch comes out today, you can pre-download it now, okay, once it goes back up. If they actually fix the actual problems, and the game doesn't have these problems like Marvel's Avengers did, and the game actually works correctly, then they can start just working and actually maintaining the game. Where if they're continuously chasing their tail, it's over, okay? Regardless if they have a comeback moment 12 months from now, okay? Where all 4 seasons are in the game, you get the game for $30, worth the money, with all the content, but is that going to have enough content and enough substance in this game to make it last? It's going to be there regardless for 2 years. Mark my words. I think it's going to be there for 2 years. Regardless if it makes it or not and people are playing it, it's going to be out for 2 years. These are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. Please make sure you share, like, and subscribe. And if you like what we do here, please make sure you check out some of our other videos. Thanks for watching.